1,000 winters ago, hidden deep within the glacial spires of what is now known as Switzerland. There lay a kingdom untouched by time. Elarindor, a land whispered about in ancient hymns and painted into faded tapestries as a vision of paradise. It was a place so hauntingly beautiful that travelers claimed to forget their names upon entering, their souls lost in the serenity of its endless meadows, its glowing lakes, and the ever-blossoming hills where spring reigned eternal. Castle Erwin stood at the kingdom's heart, its ivory towers piercing the mist-heavy skies, home to the noble line of House the young prince of this line, Alaric possessed the heart of a poet and the soul of a warrior, beloved by his people and bound in an unbreakable bond of love to the radiant Princess Seraphina, whose laughter could melt snow and whose eyes held the starlight of 1,000 midnights. But beneath the splendor of Elarindor lay a shadow stitched into its roots, an ancient curse that none dared speak of in the light. The Hollow Witcher, they called it, a being born of darkness and forgotten sins, said to awaken once every 100 years beneath a blood moon, drawn to youth and beauty like rot to fruit. For centuries, this tale was nothing more than an old wives' warning, a bedtime terror to keep young girls close to home. That is, until the moon turned red. That it began with a scream. On the eve of the spring festival, when the kingdom celebrated the first bloom of fire lilies, and the skies filled with floating lanterns, a shriek rose from the highest tower of Castle Erwin. Seraphine's chamber was found in disarray curtains, torn petals scattered, her mirror cracked with a single red smear across its surface. No one saw her leave. There were no signs of struggle beyond the strange trail of white blossoms, crushed into the corridor and leading toward the western cliffs. The Black Vale awaited there, a forest so dense it seemed to devour sunlight, where no man, no matter how brave, dared venture. Alaric knew the stories of bones found gnawed in the underbrush, of whispers that slid into a man's ears and drove him mad. It was said that the Hollow Witcher dwelled there, neither living nor dead, feeding on the souls of stolen girls to remain ageless. He took no one old, no one blemished, only those whose youth shone like candles in the dark. And Seraphina, with her celestial beauty, was the brightest flame of them all. The court begged Alaric to stay, but his soul had already left with her. He donned the armor of his ancestors, black and silver, etched with runes, too old to decide. Mounted Astrael, his snow-white steed born from a line of warhorses, said to have run through dreams. Alone, with only his sword and the name of his beloved on his lips, he entered the vale. From the first step, the world changed. The air grew colder, the trees older, branches curled like claws, and the path beneath Astrael's hooves turned from grass to ash. Shadows moved where there was no light, and sounds came from nowhere. Chimes, laughter, the wet slop of something dragging itself just out of sight. Time bent in that place, hours stretched into eternities. He saw remnants of those who had come before, shattered helmets, tattered cloaks, bone fragments, etched with scratch marks. Once, he passed a circle of dolls nailed to tree trunks, each one with Seraphine's face painted on its porcelain skin. But Alaric pressed on, deeper into the witch's dominion, until he found the ruins. The place looked like a cathedral built by madness, spires of bone, walls stitched with moss-covered faces, and a gate that opened not with hinges but with a long rattling breath. Within, the scent of old blood thickened the air, and the walls seemed to pulse like something alive. He descended a spiral staircase carved into the roots of the mountain, each step slick with slime, until he reached the lair. There, in a cavern of black stone, floating inches above a still, dark pool, was Seraphina. Her eyes were closed, her lips blue, her chest rising only slightly as if asleep or half-dead. And above her stood the Hollow Witcher. It was not a beast, as Alaric had imagined, but a man twisted into something else. He was tall and emaciated, with skin like frostbitten parchment stretched tight over bones. His hair fell in silvery strands, and his eyes were bottomless pits that shimmered like oil. His mouth moved constantly, whispering names that had not been spoken in 1,000 years. When he turned, he smiled not with warmth, but with hunger. What followed was a battle that has never been recorded in any book, only carried in the blood of those descended from Alaric's line. The Witcher moved like wind through graveyards, his claws slicing the very air, while Alaric fought with the desperation of a soul already halfway in the grave. Blood fell like rain, walls cracked with screams. At one point, the Witcher clawed into Alaric's chest, whispering visions of his ancestors screaming in chains. But with a roar that split the stone itself, Alaric drove his blade, blessed in secret by the old priestess of the mountain gods, into the Witcher's heart. The creature shrieked, not in pain but rage, and the entire cavern began to collapse, with Seraphina in his arms. Alaric rode Astrael through the crumbling tunnel, fire and stone crashing behind him, the Witcher's final howl echoing through the mountain like the last cry of a dying god. They emerged into sunlight as the blood moon sank, its curse broken for now, but Elarindor would never be the same. 4 seasons after, flowers failed to bloom, and children were born without laughter. Some say the Witcher's spirit clung to Alaric, haunting his dreams, whispering promises of return. Others claim Seraphina was never quite the same, her smile slightly too still, her eyes sometimes too dark, and in the deepest winters, When the sky bleeds and the wind wails like something remembering its name, the people of Elarindor light candles and stay inside, whispering only one thing: he sleeps beneath the stone, but he will rise again. Thus ends the tale of the Whisper in the Vale, a story of love, horror, and the shadows that live just beyond the veil of paradise. Write something.